It's gonna be an experience. Just like it's my first experience since that dreadful watch party.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
What was worse about it is that I destroyed my sleep for that because I had to wake up early because Imogen had music class and I had to take my son to school. So I had to wake up at 8:30. The thing started at 4 o'clock my time. I didn't get back to sleep till like 5:30. So I took a little nap before the thing started, but it was just I destroyed myself for nonsense. Anyway, hello everybody, welcome to the stream. Are you live now too, Corey?
I'm live. I think my internet is not enjoying this. I'll just turn off the webcams if I have to at some point. I think I'm gonna just do that from mine right now. Sorry, had to do it.
Okay, well, let me just get rid of you then. Actually, I'll just leave your picture on. It's fine. But yeah, hello everybody. So for those who don't know, this is a. Can you Can you wait till I'm done talking before you start mumbling?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
Just keep going with the intro. Yeah, do the intro, please, Justin.
Okay, I definitely really don't like that. But for those who don't know, we are recording an episode of TapCaf Transmissions. It's our Star Wars podcast that we run. Links in the description. So that means we usually don't take too many questions during the actual recording itself. Where we're just talking about one episode, if I do see something pop up time and time again in the chat, I will try to address it. This is going to be a shorter stream because Corey, I don't know if you've told people where you are, but Corey's not in his usual spot.
Place. I've been captured by EA.
Okay. His sister's EA now. Is she making you pay microtransactions for every meal you get?
I did pay for our dinner, so yes. I think all food is done via microtransactions. So
that's true. Yeah. Crushing economic realities of capitalism. But okay, do you want to do it? So yeah, again, if you want to find the podcast, most episodes you can go down to the link in the description. I'll probably stay around for a few minutes after Corey leaves in case I get any super chats or anything. I'll answer them. But Corey, do you want to do the intro and get her started?
And I think maybe next week we'll do a longer episode and take more questions with the finale. But yeah. I'll start us off. Hello there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the only Star Wars podcast that's live from my sister's basement. It's TapCaf Transmissions. I am one of your hosts, Corey, joined as always by Justin, Mr. EckhartsLadder. How are you doing tonight?
Doing quite well. It's good that you moved out of your mother's basement into your sister's basement.
That's rude. You know why that's rude.
Yeah, that is true.
She's
Corey's
not using it.
For new listeners. Yeah, so how are you doing, Corey? Yeah, you're visiting your sister.
Yeah.
How was the journey? You took a train, I'm guessing?
Took a train, took another train, and then got a nice ride from Burlington to St. Catharines. But I'm down for my not dead father's 60th birthday. So big, exciting times here. But our topic for the night is The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 7.
I love how you didn't even ask me how I'm doing.
I don't care how you're doing.
Fair enough.
I'm tired of pretending I do.
Okay, continue.
No, that's also not true. I said, how are you doing tonight, Justin?
Oh, did you? Shit.
I'm pretty sure. That's usually how I open it.
Tough look for me. Yeah, okay. You're right.
Now you're trying to gaslight me into that. Okay. We're talking about the episode, then I'm done with you.
Okay.
All right, well, what did you think of the episode? Any other Star Wars news to talk about? I think we're past the Star Wars news.
Before we start, is there any other Star Wars news?
With Celebration just last week, I feel like it's going to be.
Yeah, let me just check. Let me check my my highly curated news sources.
r/Star Wars leaks, just popping it open.
It is I actually did just pop open r/Star Wars leaks,
so
and yeah, not much, and that's kind of funny because during Star Wars Celebration, especially where the announcements are happening at like 9 Eastern time, 8 Eastern time. Like I would check them and it would be like a million new things. It'd be like, oh, we got 3 new movies. We got a new video game, like new Star Wars back scratcher, like all there. But yeah, not so much recently. It's been kind of sad.
Yeah. I mean, no video games at all. That's, well, there is Jedi Survivor coming in like a week and a half, or I think it's 2 weeks and 1 day exactly right now.
It's the 28th, right?
Yeah.
So 15 days, yeah. My math works out.
It's never been your strong suit.
No. So yeah, that's really exciting. I'm really curious how long that game is going to be, because like the last one was pretty long. This one seems like, based on what we played, that it's going to be a decent amount larger. Although I'm sure it'll be the kind of thing where if you just want to do the main quest, you can probably skip a lot of that extra stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, like it's not true open world, but it's sort of open world. It seems like the big question is how many planets are there going to be? Because I don't know if we're allowed to say when we played it was Kobo and it was like a 3-hour session.
Be careful. Okay, yeah, because there was something we weren't. Yeah, okay. People know that we don't know any planets that don't exist. We just know a little about the order. So yeah, Kobo was like the main planet we existed. We spent it was 4 hours of play, right? 2:30 to 6:30, and I think by the time I was done, I was about 15% done the planet.
Yeah.
So, and that is, I think Kobo is going to be a little more detailed than some of the other ones, but not so much I don't think it's going to be the only planet with exploration. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Remember.
Yeah. So the big question with that is just going to be how many planets and how are they all content-wise compared to Kobo? But it does seem like it's a bigger game overall. Definitely file size-wise, we know it's gigantic.
It's like over 150 gigs, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like 156.
It's a whole Steam Deck.
Yeah, I'm going to have to find some stuff to delete when I get home.
This is actually a good question that I do want to take from chat before we move on to Mando. Is Survivor, buy a new generation console, kind of good? And I've always said, you can't base the quality of a game off a 3-hour showcase that they let us play, because that can be that could be the best 4 hours of the game. If that's the best 4 hours of the game, no, don't buy, a new console for that, in my opinion. If that's a representative 4 hours of the game, if that's, there's going to be really exciting parts that are high on high, yeah, maybe it is, but wait until the game comes out. Don't look at reviews. Ever since IGN gave Halo 4 a 10 out of 10, I don't trust any reviewers. Watch streamers. I'll be streaming the game. Corey will be streaming the game. Find someone who generally agrees and watch them with your perspective on games and watch them play for a bit.
I mean, I think the best thing we can say at this point is if you enjoyed Fallen Order, if Fallen Order is the kind of game that you'd buy a new console for, I think it's probably safe to say it's at least Fallen Order level. So if you would buy a console for Fallen Order, you're probably safe doing it for Survivor.
The only thing that I'm concerned about in that respect is technical problems.
Yeah.
The version we played was months old. I was getting stuttering, and that is something I didn't mention in the video, but I wish I had. I was getting a little bit of frame stuttering. We were playing on monstrous PCs, I'm sure. So my stuttering was going down from 60 FPS to 30. Enough that I could kind of feel it. Didn't really distract from the experience. But the game's been pushed back a little bit. So, that's to be honest, that's really only my concern. That's my only concern, because I know that I'll probably enjoy it, is that aspect.
And I think part of that is also because the shaders weren't fully compiled at that point. It was just all open. So
yes, because you would notice when it was a Vista would always slow you down a little bit. Yeah.
So it's at least not something where they're going to be scratching their heads as to why it was lagging. So there's it's at least some of that performance, or some of those performance issues, are things that are known, explainable, and easily fixed. But it's impossible for us to say that that's entirely that. So yeah, do be aware that you might have some system requirement bulk to deal with.
Yeah, undoubtedly. All right, so let's talk, unless there's anything else, let's talk about Mando episode. Do you want to give your basic thoughts on what kind of do? There was a lot scene by scene to break down in this episode. Usually when I do my video reviews, I like to focus on one big aspect, break that down in depth, and then do, just a general review. But this time I felt like I needed to do scene by scene, just because there were so many discrete parts that deserved to talk.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it might be my favorite episode this season, just for how much there was going on. It was great for the Mando action. which is nice. And I think the scenes with Mecha Grogu, we got a lot of the like Din and Grogu connection that's kind of been missing from this season, even though they just kind of overwritten everything from the end of season 2 to get that connection back. But there were a few.
I was worried it wasn't going to be funny. I was worried that it was going to be awful.
Yeah,
like because that was one of the things we talked about this during the live stream. That leaked very early that there was going to be a Mecha Grogu thing. It sounded so bad, but it was hilarious. I was like, if my son was stronger than me, or were stronger than me, like this is what he would do. He would take shit that because I was at not EB Games. I was at GameStop today, and like the only reason that he didn't take every Pokemon card pack in Mario that he wanted was because I have more reach than him and I can prevent him from doing so. And he listens pretty well too. But if he were stronger than me, there's no, like, it would have been a bloodbath.
Yeah, that was a total grandpa grief move to give your grandson the super mecha suit so you can just run around and do whatever you want.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I do think my impression after watching the first time at least was that there was still a fair bit of this happened, then this happened, then this happened, without getting too many like reactions to how the Mandalorians actually felt about anything. And I think some of that is just setup. And I think there was enough from Bo-Katan, especially on rewatching it, that I kind of softened on that a bit, where Bo-Katan is still clearly concerned about how well they're going to be able to hold things together when Paz Vizla was ready to fight Axe Woves over having a disagreement about chess rules.
I enjoyed that. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah. So I think what my kind of worry with it has been is that they're going to liberate Mandalore, and then not only will that like bring them together and convince them they have to work out their issues, but that will be considered them having worked out all their issues, and now they're all just fine forever. And Bo-Katan did lie to them all, saying that no one can beat Mandalorians. Like, the only reason they lose is because they
many folk have beat Mandalorians.
They lose every war to everyone else, and it's not because of infighting.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, so I totally agree with what you're saying about, this happened, then this happened, and it's like, all right, like it's a writing issue. I think, like the general story beats I found really entertaining. I liked most of them. But yeah, like, and the best example of this, and my stream died right before we got to this part. I heard you getting to it. I was like listening on my phone, and I heard you say giant monster. I was like, oh my God, not a fucking another one. And yeah, there was another giant monster, and it's just like, it just feels like something that happens, like that monster wasn't needed for the story. They were going into the mines already.
Yeah.
If they were worried about getting rid of that little Mandalorian skiff, a TIE bomber could have blown it up. Like, it just felt like, okay, they need to spend 5 minutes of the episode. And it's sort of an issue that I had a bit, but not as much with the action, where like it wasn't quite as good as, like, when I think of really good Mandalorian action scenes, I always go back to the Heiress in season 2 on the Gazanti, where that felt really well choreographed and stuff. This ended up being a lot of running through hallways, shooting these Beskar-clad super commandos, whatever they are. Sometimes they die, sometimes they don't. But yeah, so those were my kind of smaller issues, but there was enough good there that I really enjoyed the episode too. I'm not sure. I like the Pirate King episode quite a bit. That might be my favorite in hindsight. But yeah, it was really good. So that's kind of my general thoughts, but I'd like to go through some things scene by scene too.
Yeah, and I guess scene by scene, we gotta get to the big thing from the start that both of us were really excited by. Recognize that mustache anywhere. We have our first live action appearance of Mr. Gilly P, as his friends call him, simping for Thrawn as any Gilly P should. Yeah, my buddy is like, he was one of my only friends who read Star Wars books back in the day. He's a bit back on Mandalorian. And I was like, Pelion was just in the Mandalorian. And they're fighting Dark Troopers, and it's unreal. But yeah, that was... And I told him with Ewing, too. Yeah, Pelion looked great. I'm so glad that they included him. I am a bit confused about, like, how everything is going to work together. Like, okay,
we know that Hux is out with the Proto First Order.
Yep.
You haven't read Aftermath, right? But I mean, you probably know the basics.
Yeah. Going back to our conversation last time, I know what happens in it.
Right. So for those who don't, basically Aftermath sees what's his name?
Gallius Rax.
Gallius Rax. I always forget his name. Gallius Rax basically sets up Jakku and also attempts to destroy a bunch of the Imperial forces. Like he tries to go like scorched earth on the Empire, kind of for punishment for letting Palpatine die. Basically, what I remember, and that is Ray Sloan ends up preventing that, and what ends up happening is she leaves with a bunch of the loyalist chosen Imperial forces to go and leave the galaxy, and yeah, like they're gone, and not everyone's taken. Like they're not leaving the galaxy.
Rex tells her that there's already people in the unknown regions, including Senior Hux is the one we see in this scene. So Hux is already out there with some of the younger ones. It's like there's already the sprinklings of a First Order before Rax sends her out.
So at first, I believe they're in one of the nebulas, and then they meet up because there's like 1,000 Imperial ships that have just been hiding. Because she's like, where the fuck? Because she goes through like the record of remember in the Dark Black Fleet Crisis when they find she basically does that, and she's like, where the fuck are all these ships? Like, where's the super? Like, how do we lose a super Star Destroyer? And then I think at the end they leave, but she's with Hux. And she's a Grand Admiral, so she's the ranking commander. But it's a bit weird because I get the feeling that Pelion is not one of those Imperials.
No,
he seems he still seems to be in the galaxy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird because initially it seemed like the Imperials who were leaving almost wanted whoever was left, the Imperials left in the galaxy, to like fight and fall apart. But now they're kind of more directly helping them, even sending them resources.
Well, I think it's a situation where the First Order people are kind of hiding their actual power, and I think that's why it's Hux instead of Sloan that's there. So I don't know if anyone else knows how much is going on in the unknown regions or in the First Order or future First Order, because I don't think they're the First Order yet. And it's kind of like the Empire of the Hand almost, but in reverse. Where
it's kind of like
they
that.
know they've got a little bit out there. They don't know how big it actually is. And except the difference is in this situation, the Empire of the Hand is sending a few resources back.
Yeah, and I'm guessing because, again, a lot of this lore was only really established in Aftermath, which was I believe it was the first canon trilogy. It was one of the first canon novels. There were a couple of individual ones, like Tarkin came out before that, I believe. But I think what will happen is that Thrawn coming back will be the thing that kind of changed the math there, where they're like, okay, if Thrawn's coming back, then maybe we've got a shot just winning straight up. And like, plus they're seeing like all the shit the New Republic's doing. They're like, okay, maybe we don't need to wait 30 years like out in the fucking blackness of space. Maybe we can just body them now.
Well, it also seems like they're expecting when Thrawn comes back, that'll come with like some other amount of military force. I'm not sure if they mean that they think Thrawn's going to bring a fleet with him, or if that'll draw some other people to their side. But like, I think it's kind of being set up as like, this is the known galaxy remnant stuff happens. Then the First Order stuff is like they have a lot of connections, obviously, but that's later. And I think it's easy to lose sight of the fact that the time difference between the Mandoverse here and the sequel trilogy is about equal to the length of the entire Empire's lifespan between the Clone Wars, the end of the Clone Wars, and Episode 6. So there's a lot that can change in that time.
Yeah, you're right. Like another thing too, it's also been a long time since Endor and since Jakku.
Yeah.
One thing I'm curious about is, okay, I also say one thing that I really loved, and this was perfect for Pelion. I think they nailed how he acted here. He, like, they were talking about like abandoning Thrawn, and he looked uncomfortable. Like he was like, no. And that's kind of the question I have for you. I personally don't feel like any of them have made contact directly with Thrawn. Like people were saying, I think Thrawn's in the room over one of their shoulders. Like I disagree completely. maybe Pelion has, but like I think Thrawn doesn't really know how to get back yet. Like I think he's dealing with kind of the same issue that like the reverse issue of Ahsoka. I think he's found a way to communicate. He's like, "Hey boys, like I'm on the way. Like I called the Uber, not here yet. Like Wi-Fi's down. Start pre-drinking." But yeah,
I definitely think they're in contact because we know with the magistrate, like he's talking to people, but he's definitely not like actively involved there yet.
Yeah,
that's at least my opinion. So I agree with you.
Joel also had a good question too in the chat, because there's a whole other issue of like who knows that Palpatine is back on Exegol and what is Project Necro? I think it was Necromancer. I mean, Necromancer could be about like they talk about clones. Like Huck's the one. He says Hux is the one who's obsessed with clones. It seems like Gideon's off just fucking doing his own thing. Like he's clearly building an army that they're not even really super familiar with.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of low-key lying about it too. Who knows that Palpatine is back on Exegol? I'm guessing there's like another faction of like his super Sith Eternal folks who are, you know, they're like the ride or dies. Necromancy obviously means raising the dead, but that could mean the literal dead of Palpatine or the figurative dead of the Imperial army.
Yeah, like they might be aware that they're trying to bring Palpatine back, but if they knew Palpatine was like Voldemorting it up in the unknown regions, they wouldn't be talking about how they might need to find new leadership other than Thrawn, because they know they have Palpatine waiting to come in as soon as his life alert lets him. But
yeah.
So
he's like in the Namek saga when Vegeta's like in the healing chamber, just vibing.
Just give him some time.
Yeah, just let him chill. Let him cook.
But what do you think the chances are that some of those other unnamed warlords we saw in that room were left unnamed intentionally to pull in some Zinjas or some Dallas?
I think it's pretty high at this point. I mean, yeah, there were definitely some options. I definitely thought Dala with that first woman. I thought that she would have been a decent Dala. And there are plenty of robust men, and that's all I need for Zinj, really.
Yeah.
There were no like handlebar mustaches, but there were plenty of. There was some facial hair. Somebody, who was it? Oh yeah, I don't know. I guess Evan sent me a tweet about how one of the actresses had white hair or two-toned white and black hair when they were filming this, and it was dyed for this. So I think we all know one director of Imperial Intelligence who had white and black hair.
But is there anyone who had like two different color eyes? I feel like that could be used on a character to really show some kind of duality.
Yeah, duality of maybe different types of anger, maybe hot and cold anger.
This seems like something they should explore for a future Star Wars novel or show. They can have that one for free.
Yeah. But other than that, what do you? So these troopers that Gideon has,
clones.
Are they for sure clones?
I don't think they're for sure clones, but I'm thinking they're clones, like
of him,
like partially of him. It seems like it's kind of what Pershing was talking about with the Strandcast.
Yeah, right.
Because I don't know if they got anywhere.
Armor.
Like we know that Gideon mentioned like Jedi, Mandalorians, and himself, I guess, as the three categories of Superman, which is a little conceited. Am I right? Did he say himself as the third one?
No, he said Jedi, cloners, and
and Mandalorians.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I apologize to Giancarlo. He would never play an arrogant
who had no
character.
mustache. Where was his mustache?
I don't know. So I'm watching Better Call Saul right now. I watched it all the way here. So seeing the first no mustache felt natural to me, but
I've never watched that show.
Just the general Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul milieu that Gus Fring is in, it feels a lot like that the Warlord Council, where he's off doing his own thing, and then you got the Salamancas that are like, "Hey, what are you doing?" It all ties together. So what I'm saying is that Better Call Saul is in fact canon.
Okay. Someone says the New Republic confiscated his mustache. Okay, so let's. Is there anything else about the Moffrons you want to cover, or should we move on?
No, I think like that seems to be setting up mostly for, well, Gideon's own stuff in the Mandalorian, but I think it is setting up more for the Ahsoka and Heir to the Empire movie, in my opinion, at least. But maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
Do you still think we're gonna get Thrawn next episode? I guess we'll finish on that.
I don't know. I guess let's just talk about next episode predictions just generally.
Okay.
Like, for one, the thing that I would bet money on, the obvious one, Chekhov's Mythosaur.
Yeah.
Where, like, someone's going to ride it. I'm guessing Bo is going to ride it and save Din Djarin.
Yeah.
That's my obvious prediction. I think it's very likely that we see Boba Fett as well. I think, because, and this is something else that I noticed, and I think you talked about it as well, there are a bunch of ships missing from the fleet by the time they arrive at Mandalore. There are other Mandalorian factions out there. You've talked about Fen Rao, and that's a great call. Boba Fett, I'm guessing, may show up as well. And I think that'll kind of be a... Yeah, so there's been a rumor as well that Mon Mothma will be in the finale. This was a very questionable rumor. So I think it's possible that they also do call in... what's the name of the squadron again? The one that we saw earlier with, like, Zeb? Is it the Cavernaces? Or no, is that something else?
I don't remember the squadron name.
So I think it's... Yeah. I think it's possible we see them, because, I mean, that would also explain why they had him actually show up at on their planet. Also, regarding Ray Sloan, I just wanted to mention too, because I meant to say that, I think that she was probably just busy. She's got other shit to do.
Yeah, I feel like Hux is an intentional delegation of it. I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's because they just forgot." But you can't put Bendel Hux in, or they didn't know about her. You can't put Bendel Hux in if you don't know about Ray Sloan, because they're from the same places, basically. So it has to be an intentional choice not to have her for that. The
only thing is about Hux is, like, the average fan is much more. Yeah.
But I mean, like, on the production side, like, I feel like it's not just because they don't know who Ray Sloan is, if they know who Bendel Hux is, or if that option was given to them. But... or Brent.
Adelphi Rangers, yeah. Thanks, Jeff.
But there has to be someone coming, regardless of whether it's the Adelphi Rangers, the Boba Fett's, or Fen Rao with some kind of rebuilt Mandalorian protectors, because most of the ones from Rebels are in fact executed. But it's been years. He could rebuild like all the other Mandalorians do on a regular basis, because like Bo-Katan seemed terrified of the fighters and bombers being sent out, so I think it's meant to imply that, like, if they get there, we're going to see some carnage, and then someone else comes in to save the day. I think that's the trope we're going for. But
yeah, and it will be exciting, I think. Yeah. I think they have a really good chance to pull it off well. Like, I saw someone saying, like, because I mentioned that in a video, and they're like, "It's not possible. Tatooine's across the galaxy." I was just like, "What the fuck are you trying to say?" Yeah.
My thing with Boba Fett, why I'm leaning less into, like, he's the biggest name, so I think, like, from an out of universe standpoint, it makes most sense for him to show up, just because, like, the connection between the shows. But the only one in their group that would really contact him would be Din, and I feel like we'd see Din doing that, whereas the dispatched Gozantes and Gauntlets would be more like...
I just figured it out.
You did? Okay.
Yep.
Well,
what does Din not have? Okay, yeah, sorry.
The dispatched Gauntlets and Gozantes would be more likely to go to other Mandalorians that claim to be Mandalorians. You can go now.
What does Din not have with him? Two things.
The Darksaber.
No.
The N1.
His starfighter and his droid. The droid can fly the starfighter back to Tatooine.
I mean, Luke did that with an astromech and Grogu.
How? Yeah, that's what I just figured out. I wouldn't be surprised if that's how the episode starts off, with like a shot of the N1 flying down to Tatooine, landing. It's what's her name in the thing. She's like, "Oh, where's my little boy?" And then it's like it's R5, and she's like, "Call Boba Fett. Mando's stuck in a well," and like basically like that. I think that's what's gonna happen.
I think that's a reasonable theory. I'd co-sign that.
Okay. Because I gotta tweet that. R5 was on Mandalore. Shit. Someone said he's on Mandalore. Okay,
right,
never mind.
Fuck yourself, Chuck.
Damn.
You can leave. No one cares how long travel takes in Star Wars.
Damn. I thought I had an ironclad theory there.
Oh well. At least you didn't make a clip before someone pointed that out to you with a 30% CTR. It's fine.
What do I care? I'm not allowed to make mistakes now? I'm just a man. Damn, he was in the scout party and everything.
All right, well, get fucked.
Well, yeah. Fuck me, I guess.
So you have also been letting everyone know about your fears that Mr. Din Djarin may not, in fact, survive.
I'm a little worried about it. And I mean, like, from a business, everyone talks about, these are business properties. That's why Grogu is back to Mando. It sucks. I don't know. For one, I did get sucked into all of that likely fake stuff about, what's his name? Pedro Pascal being unhappy. I talked to somebody really in the know, and they're like, no. That was all about season 1. Like, when he wasn't showing his face and before the show came out. And all this stuff now is basically nonsense. And I do believe that, but I'm a little worried. I don't know. I
don't see it happening. I have two reasons I don't see it happening.
Okay. Hit me.
All right. Reason 1.
Okay.
Grogu was originally not supposed to be back yet. That was clearly a decision they made later on in the process of writing because they wanted the dynamic back. If they wanted the dynamic back, they would not have moved that up with the intention of having him killed already, unless that changed after they decided to bring Grogu back right away. Because otherwise you never get that dynamic back because Din ends the season dead.
Okay.
Reason 2.
That's a really good...
Is I think what they're setting up, and this isn't an original thought from me, I think a lot of people are assuming this, is that the way we get the traditional season end Pedro Pascal face reveal is the helmet gets taken off him by force in front of the other Mandalorians. And I think you do that without killing him because that's how you set up the whole, they'll need to make a choice on whether they accept that from him and he's still a Mandalorian, or if they go back to like, okay, you got to go down the street, dunk in the well, and then you can come back.
Right. Yeah. I wish they would have done that with Paz Vizla.
Yeah.
The Praetorian Guards. That would have been tough.
Yeah, I was hoping that would be the direction they go, but I can't remember when we were talking about our predictions for deaths. I think Paz was like my third place, but I was less solid on it. My like half court shot was Bo-Katan, so I don't think that's. I think
Bo-Katan's going to survive. I think she'll survive through next episode as well. Yeah. I don't think we're going to get any major deaths if we don't get Din. I think Bo-Katan's going to survive. I think Din probably survive. They're not going to kill Boba Fett if he shows up. Yeah, I don't know. I think what they may have to do is abandon Mandalore, though, or Mandalore gets somehow, like, if there's going to be a death, I think it's going to be of their, hopes of getting shit going on Mandalore.
So it's a philosophical death, not an actual death. I mean, Paz Vizla's death is, I think, a big deal, but
I gotta say, I underestimated how much people would care about that. I really liked his death too. Like, I saw a lot of people kind of angry that the Praetorian Guards were involved, which, like, don't really get that, because, like, I get not liking The Last Jedi, but the Praetorian Guards are sick. Like, I don't like that movie very much, but I like the Praetorian Guards. Like, they're really cool. They're like this mysterious, hyper lethal. Like he had just annihilated like 60 dudes, and they come and just absolutely, like, they don't even get a scratch on him. They're like, GG no re. Like, he's out bleeding on the floor.
Yeah, I'm glad we got a little bit of aggro out of him, because I feel like having him be like fully accepting of the of the other Mandalorians, and not blowing up over the chess match would have been disrespectful to what we know as his kind of asshole character.
He's a freak. Yeah, he's a freak.
But poor Ragnar has been just shit on all season because he's been nearly eaten twice, sort of eaten once, and now his dad's dead.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true. Maybe Mando will have two kids.
Or does one of the other Mandalorians adopt Ragnar as their own foundling now? Because
Bo-Katan.
She's already got a son.
Corky? Is that no? Corky's Corky Satine's right?
No,
Who's her?
I don't. It's weird. I don't know if he's like.
Is it Corky Satine's son? I thought.
No, because I think he calls both of them aunt. Doesn't he? Am I wrong on that? I might.
But isn't the theory that Corky's Obi-Wan's son?
Yeah, but there's also the theory that fucking Snoke is Obi-Wan. So what do you want from me? Or Kino Loy?
Corky was born into the Mandalorian political family of his aunt. No, so it is. So he's not her son. I guess the theory would be it's a lie and that he's actually her son. I guess that's I guess that would be the theory.
Yeah, I don't think.
See, I never paid attention to the Mandalorian stuff from the Clone Wars, and it always comes back to fucking bite me.
I don't know if they have like a third sister or a brother, or it's just like a cousin situation where it's like a second cousin, and they just say, "Oh, my aunt," like because I do that with like a lot of my parents' friends. So maybe it's that kind of situation where like Satine and Bo-Katan got drunk with Corky's actual parents,
like Uncle Charlie.
Yeah, like how I call Charlie Uncle. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. I'm excited to see how that all shapes out, and I'm also excited to see what the state of the Mandos, like just as a whole, is at the end of this next episode. I don't think it's going to be all peace. I do think Bo-Katan is going to be the new Mandalore. Like, I think she's going to ride the mythosaur with the darksaber in her hand and just fucking slash somebody out. But
yeah, it's just so weird to me because like you get the talk from Din. And you get like all the setup they're doing in season 1 and 2 of like maybe the traditions aren't what matter. Or maybe it's more important that Din has this connection with Grogu. Din is talking about how like his people, other than apparently Paz Vizla and all the former Death Watch people, so maybe Din just doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. His people don't care about the darksaber. It's just he's following her. But the show is also saying like, but it's also important that you do have this, and we're going to highlight that you have this. So I'm wondering if that is setting up for her losing it in some kind of way, and then the Mandalorians just say,
and then they don't give a shit. Like maybe the darksaber's destroyed. That's a good idea. I would love that. Yeah. The darksaber gets destroyed and no one gives a shit.
Yeah, like
I like that idea.
You can't have your cake and eat it too with saying the traditions both were limiting to the Mandalorians, but are also how we're going to justify all the stuff that's happening.
That's a good idea. I actually really like that idea. It won't happen because they sell too many at Galaxy's Edge. No, I'm just kidding.
Do they?
They do sell them. Yeah, I saw them when they were there. Yeah, they were like brand new. I don't know. Live action real darksabers kind of look like shit because it's like, well, they don't look like shit, but it's an impossible, weapon. Oh.
I just want the hilt. I don't care about the blade.
Okay, so let's talk about and I know you're kind of running low on time, so do you need to head out now, or do you want to?
I can go for.
Okay. There's two things I want to talk about before we leave. For one, Dark Trooper stuff, and I think we'll come back to that. For two, the name of the episode is The Spies. Spies. Now, I'm wondering, for one, is the sequence with the Imperial at the beginning as simple as we think? Could she be a double traitor? And then the obvious question, who is the spy? There's like two really big names that I've seen thrown out. Axe Woves in the Armorer.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Axe Woves.
Axe Woves.
Yeah, in the Armorer. So what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so before we get into that, I do want to say I got a comment, I forget who it was by, that talked about like the potential for it to be a biblical reference with the spies referring to language used to refer to like Israelites seeing the land, so it could be less like
not educated enough for that
spies as in the sleuths that we generally think of, or they're just the scouting party and those are the spies, not as a like position or like treacherous kind of spy, but as a like they're getting to the promised land now. So
one thing I'll say.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry. No. Sorry. I continue.
Go for it.
I just say one thing I'll say is that usually when the when the Mandalorian titles an episode like that, like the Duchess, like whatever, it's pretty self-evident what it means by the end. So
well, with this season, a lot of them have been referring to multiple as well, where like the Foundling referred to like 3 different people in that episode. The Mines of Mandalore was like they were the Mines of Mandalore, but it was also Bo-Katan and Sewer Grievous saying the Darksaber was mine. So it was a bunch of people saying mine on Mandalore. But
yeah, I don't know what that one, but
look, I tried to make it work, but I don't know. I guess the 2 biggest theories are, or I guess the 3 biggest theories. We have the survivors who they found on Mandalore. You have Act 12 and the armor. With the survivors,
don't need to say it that way, man.
So the fact that Gideon didn't know that, like, he seemed genuinely surprised by the fact that the other Mandalorians were working together, I think is a point against the armor being the spy, because Axe wouldn't necessarily have known that at the time. He wouldn't have known about Navarro, and the survivors wouldn't have either. The armor would have. So if she was feeding him information, he'd know that. The other thing is he seemed to not be surprised. I don't know how important this is. This might just be like them yada-yadaing some stuff. He didn't seem surprised that Bo-Katan had the Darksaber and that Din didn't. So that'd be something that Axe knows, that the armor knows, or the armor would know but wouldn't necessarily have had time to tell Gideon because they were all there. Like, she would have found out like right as they were leaving, and that the survivors don't know anything about. So that'd be the point against them. But like the survivors, you'd think they could have come across the mines before. They've said they've never left, like they still live there. Even though I think
they knew where it was, but
but they
like,
did
I think they just kind of chose not to. So, no, that's fair.
Yeah. So I don't think that's like a smoking gun thing that they were definitely there before, but I think it's reasonable to come to the conclusion potentially that they led them into that trap. But they also
is it possible that the agent at the beginning, I can't remember her name, is a double agent? Yeah, Kane.
Like a triple agent?
She's double crossing the Empire. She's crossing the New Republic, double crossing the Empire, I guess.
I don't know if they were going like the 3 layers deep crossing. I think
there wouldn't really be 3 layers. Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, fair enough.
Because she betrayed the Empire to go to the New Republic. The Empire the first time, to go to the Empire, but really she's betraying the.
Yeah, that's true.
The Empire.
Yeah, that would be a bit of a mess, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's a little too cute for me. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, do you think Gideon's gonna die this next episode? Because like, it's been 2 finales that he's been busy, or isn't he? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe, but then I just wouldn't trust it if he did. But like, if they're setting up for like the Mandalorians having other challenges, then maybe. But it just feels like it'd be hard to both resolve everything going on with Gideon, resolve some stuff with the New Republic, or at least use the New Republic to set some stuff up, same with the Empire, and do all the Mandalorian stuff in one episode. Like, it just, I don't know that it makes sense for him to die and just finish that all right now. I also don't think it really makes, I don't think it'd be satisfying for them to do another.
He's a fun villain.
Goes into hiding either. So I hope it's not just like Moff Gideon's blasting off again to come back in season 4. Like, I'd be okay with it not fully resolving anything. Like, it doesn't tie up this story arc at the end of the season. We're left with
it would be a little disappointing for him to die after only appearing in 2 episodes for the season as well. Yeah. Okay. I think that's a good call. So the one issue that the one line that I didn't like and that I thought was annoying was his bit about the Dark Trooper. And I was watching with the subtitles on. You probably were too. Did you notice when he comes down, they don't say Gideon talking. It's like Dark Trooper.
Yeah.
So the whole thing that we learn in the finale, and this is a stupid small complaint, but like the whole thing we learn in the finale of season 2 is that the Dark Trooper design initially used a soldier in it, and that was the weak point. So they moved to droids, and then now it's like, nah, dog, we were just joking because he's like, yeah, go ahead.
I don't think that's an inconsistency. I think that's the point, is that Gideon is egotistical piece of shit, and that's going to turn out to be part of his undoing.
So you don't think this is going to be Dark Trooper Model 4?
I don't think we're going to get too much. Like, I think we're kind of seeing I think it's going to be better than the pure mech ones, but just as like an advancement of the technology in general. But I do think like it's not going to be that Gideon has started something brilliant here.
We only saw, we only saw 2 people kill one of those other ones. They're pretty badass.
But like, do you think we're going to get more than just Gideon in the near future in them?
It seems like he's changed his approach to building those super commandos instead. I gotta say, I do like the fact, because I was like, initially when I was like, he's on Mandalore, like that's kind of dumb. But the idea that he's on there, that also helps explain why the planet's in better condition than everyone was lying about, than everyone thought. I like that he's there for a reason. He's mining the shit out of the planet for Beskar. I thought that made a lot of sense. I also really like the look of the base. It was very like Dark Forces like, where it's like underground, big cracks, I hope we see. I'm really excited for the space battle next episode too, because the ship stuff looks so good.
Yeah, the fleets look fantastic, but I think it's also a good sign for Din that this is so Dark Forces, and that he's going like raw mock mode with the Dark Trooper, because you can cheese the shit out of that fight. Easiest boss fight ever.
What, to get him in the elevator? Isn't that the? Yeah. You like get him stuck in an elevator or something. I think is the strategy.
And then you're just done. If they work that in, like. That'd be.
Can't wait till Bo gets till he gets a flechette launcher.
Yeah,
which kind of reminded me. I was thinking this when they were taking his, because they disarm him and they're like just ripping shit off his suit. He's like, no, that was for me to pee in. But I don't think he's used those whistling birds at all this season, has he?
Nope, not yet.
Yeah.
Which you'd think that would have been a good opportunity for him to do it there, but instead he was like courting 2 people and. Oh well. Yeah.
Also, I get why they didn't try to jump in and save him. They literally had him as a fucking hostage. They would have just shot him in the head.
Yeah.
Like that was. I saw that complaint a lot. Like, why didn't Grogu? I wish they would have had more of Grogu's reaction, like him just freaking out, like force screaming or something.
No.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. But like, you can't go in because they're just gonna shoot him in the head.
Yeah. I did see people saying like, oh well, why didn't Bo-Katan just cut through the other door? Like, well,
it took like 20 minutes.
Yeah, she's not good at this yet.
Plus, they were trying to shoot through it. Like, it would have taken a long time.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to talk about while I'm still here before the solo portion? I think
I don't.
General thoughts out.
I think that's pretty much it. Overall, great episode. Really excited. Here's one final question. What's your time prediction for the finale? How long? Say 45 minutes.
70 minutes.
70 minutes. I hope that'd be awesome.
A man's got a dream.
Also, do you think we're seeing the New Republic? Yes or no?
Yeah, there's going to be something New Republic related.
Will they be at the battle?
I think the Adelphi Rangers are a reasonable possibility. I'd put them above 50% odds on showing up.
Okay. But they got that Y-Wing model made. I don't think it's an accident.
An E-Wing could show up before Sabine's butt.
I'll have to close the stream.
just
Yeah.
That's going to play really well on the audio portion.
Yeah. I was pointing like a nerd.
Yeah. So, well, I'm planning to do a live reaction to the show again. Are you once bitten, twice shy? Okay, you're gonna go for it again.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll start a little bit early and do some predictions, and then the last portion of the episode we'll do a full recap as well. That's gonna do it for me. If you're on my side of the stream, you want to go over to X channel.
I've only got about 10 minutes.
Okay.
But yeah. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening, everyone on TapCaf Transmissions, the audio portion. Thanks for listening.